With America declaring that its longest war in Afghanistan has come to an end, also at an end is Britain and NATO's military involvement in the war-torn nation. However, while the United States says a new chapter of its engagement with Afghanistan has begun, the conflict seems far from over. The withdrawal has set Afghanistan back on the path to terror, mayhem and disintegration. It's a catastrophe in the making. While those responsible for the chaos might not be willing to take the blame and have left Afghanistan to its own fate, it could prove to be a game changer for international relations. Today, I'm going to focus on NATO's involvement in Afghanistan and the impact of the chaotic pullout on NATO or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Afghanistan wasn't just America's 20-year war. It was also a war that included the allies of the United States. It was as much an operation of NATO because the member nations invested significant blood and treasure in the conflict. For example, Germany deployed the second largest military contingent in Afghanistan after the United States. In the northern Afghan province of Kunduz, a stronghold of Taliban, Germany lost more of its troops in combat here than anywhere else in the world since the end of World War II. But before I delve into whether or not the US pullout will affect NATO, let's talk a bit more about the role NATO played in Afghanistan over the years. NATO is an intergovernmental military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. Its purpose is to guarantee the freedom and security of its members through political and military means. Since 9/11, NATO countries have been engaged militarily in Afghanistan under a mandate from the United Nations. Its primary goal was to prevent the country from ever becoming a safe haven for terrorism again. NATO did this predominantly through the International Security Assistance Force or the ISAF and later through the Resolute Support Mission or the RAF. NATO took command of ISAF in August 2013 upon the request of UN and the Afghan government. This means that under NATO, ISAF was responsible for conducting security and stability operations across Afghanistan. It was given the responsibility to help bring the Afghan National Army up to operating capability in support of the United States. It also aimed at providing support to the Afghan National Police within means and capabilities. Not just this, the ISAF would extend quick humanitarian assistance in the immediate aftermath of significant military operations. Furthermore, through its provincial reconstruction teams, that is the PRTs, it supported reconstruction and development across Afghanistan. NATO's combat mission in Afghanistan ended in 2014, but coalition troops remained to help train and advise Afghan security forces under the NATO-led Resolute Support Mission post-2015. The RSM was a non-combat mission aimed at providing further training, advice and assistance for the Afghan security forces and institutions. So NATO's contribution in Afghanistan was immense, but so was the loss. A total of 1,145 Allied troops died in Afghanistan of the approximately 3,500 service members killed. Now the next big question is, will the chaotic pullout of United States from Afghanistan have any bearing on the functioning of NATO going forward? President Joe Biden says he hears no criticism from America's allies about the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the collapse of the government. But the criticism in Europe, at least, is loud and persistent. Unlike Joe Biden, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg at least partially called a spade, blaming the Afghan leadership, but also questioning NATO's program that trains local security forces which currently operates in countries like Iran, Jordan and Tunisia. Knowing that they could not replace the American military or remain in Afghanistan without US troops, NATO allies largely left the withdrawal up to Washington. But the Afghanistan fiasco has left many Europeans more convinced than ever that they cannot rely on the United States to look after their security interests. Hence, the debacle may prompt the alliance to reorient its focus onto core European issues closer to home. The dramatic end of US mission in Afghanistan raises a few questions on how it could impact NATO. Will there be any serious shift in the way the NATO alliance operates, with the United States leading and Europe following behind? Will they draw narrow conclusions about the security risks they'll face based on Afghanistan's consequences and the withdrawal? Will their focus now shift towards protecting European security alone? Or is the Afghanistan debacle not enough to justify reversing all the United States commitments with its allies and the US comes out of this unscathed? America's commitment has long been the glue holding European security together. But the biggest humanitarian and security crisis in Afghanistan could prove to be a turning point in international relations, and a reshuffle in the global power relations could very well be witnessed in years to come.